I wish I were more terrified, and maybe more surprised. I'd already resigned myself to being sold to a revolting sex club, and now here I am, being spirited away to a palace in some unknown country. My mind is suspended in confusion as I am driven down streets lined with swanky hotels, tropical trees, and blossoming flowers in the company of this agreeable criminal who has now told me that he is a prince and that his brother, who is not dead and who may be the world's most notorious trafficker of little girls, will want to buy me. This is quickly turning into the most surreal day of my life. It's definitely fair to say that I'm having difficulty connecting the dots here. The prince's palace is even bigger and more elaborate than I imagined. It's a family joint, and its oval driveway is lined with aged palm trees that offer little shade. We are immediately attended to by a friendly out-of-his-league aide dressed in a pinstripe suit. The prince is a serious-looking man in his 30s with a pinched face and an upright posture, who has a manner about him that makes me think it best not to converse with him. He goes straight to business. He picks up a folder from an enormous desk and glances through it, then he looks at me, impassive and emotionless. He then asks his brother, "Are you sure you want to sell her?" "She is no good for you. She is a liar and a thief." His brother shrugs, waves a hand in a dismissive gesture, and says, "If you don't want to buy her, let her do her time in the house, and then she can go back to Italy." The word house makes me immediately feel sick. I instantly realize that this is not a palace. It's a prison. The prince is staring at me with beady shark eyes, and a look on his face that makes me feel like my dress is streaked with diarrhea. The brother turns towards me. "Let's take a look at you," he says. I am standing on a grubby carpet with a couple of drops of sweat squeezing out of the holes in my flesh. I realize that I have had no time to prepare myself for this occasion. My appearance is a complete disgrace. My gardener was right. All I have on is a pair of brief denim shorts and a white vest, which I've ripped off of the guys I got in trouble with to avoid the heat of the day. I can only imagine how shabby I must look compared to the beautiful women I just met in the villa. The prince and the aide are staring at me with a look of disgust and disapproval, but maybe a little approval, or that's just the sun in my two eyes. The prince's body language tells me that I am here, but not really here. He is uncomfortable with me. He clearly doesn't want to buy me. I find it all a bit weird, while the prince's brother has a half smile, amused by the whole situation. I asked the prince's brother why we are here when I came to his office a couple of days ago. I had left my fingerprints behind. Surely he must be interested in trying to connect me to the crime of extortion, which at this point is not even clear to me. My question goes down like a lead balloon. I do not understand why I am not taken back to my cell in the villa. I feel a growing sense of confusion and dismay. I am clearly not liked by the people here, and I feel very out of place. Someone's servant comes in with a tray of cold drinks, then a second servant opens the outside door and lets in a slight breeze. I accept a glass of fresh orange juice, but it doesn't stop me from perspiring from my skin holes in my light clothes. I am so hot now that the ice cubes are leaning to the corner of the tumbler to avoid me. Someone looks at me, then looks away. Someone else is staring at me. Everyone has now turned against me. They clearly have decided to punish me. I am the one who is to blame for the brother's situation.
I am the one who got him into trouble. I feel really low, and my head is spinning as I glance around. No one here is trying to help me. Suddenly, the prince calls for his aide and starts handing over some papers and some money. The aide writes down the transaction, and I realize that I just sold myself for a mere 1 million dinars, which at this point is equivalent to 1,000 euros. I was just sold for less than $1,000. My heart is beating terribly fast, and the handcuffs that I am still wearing are making my wrists hurt. The brother tells the prince, "I will send someone to pick her up in a few days. I'll give her a couple of days to get used to the new situation. In the meantime, I'll send some servants to check on her." The prince says thank you and shakes his brother's hand. I am a little relieved as I walk out of his palace. I feel a bit dizzy and lightheaded, like I have a fever, and I can't work out if it's the heat or the shock of what just happened. I am driven back to the villa, and the man I thought was my benefactor tells me that I have no choice but to leave with his brother. I object, but he tells me to shut up and get ready, that I'm leaving for his brother's palace tomorrow. I know what I'm in for, but I suggest he at least give me a little time to prepare. Maybe a suitcase with a change of clothes and makeup and necessities. He says that he has nothing to give me.
I have no interest in anything in your luggage. I've been looking for you for months. I don't want any of your stuff. You're not going to bring anything with you except your passport.
There is no more point in even addressing this guy.
I have no idea what happened. There's no sign of Timmy.